Blessed good evening to one and all. Here again at Brighton, St. George, outside of the Brighton Farmers Market. You can see the Bearfield minibus traveling along the Windsor Road in St. George. I'm in the parish of St. George at the moment, which is in the center of the island. St. Thomas and St. George are the two landlocked parishes in Barbados. Best referred to as the heart of Barbados or the central uplands of Barbados. You can see the view here. The Brighton Farmers Market. I'm right outside of the Brighton Farmers Market in St. George. So this way will lead you back to Constant Buckley Bottles. Buckley is spelled Bulkley, where the Buckley Sugar Factory was. The Buckley Sugar Factory closed down in 2002. The Buckley Sugar Factory was at this location down here. So this way back to Bottles. You get the Bottles first. The Bottle is around the corner. Bottle is Buttals. Bottles is around the corner. Bottles Plantation, and then Buckley Plantation and Sugar Factory, then Constant in St. George, and then Salters, and then to Bridgetown or the ABC Highway. And in this direction here, going down here. And this way back to Windsor and back to Christchurch to the south of the island with Windsor Road. Windsor, it will take you back to Christchurch or St. Philip. You can see over the Christchurch around here. So this is the beautiful St. George Valley that I'm looking at now. So this is the St. George Valley I'm looking at, and south of the island in Christchurch. You see the Bearfield bus, the bus traveling along Highway 5. This is the beautiful rustic countryside here in Barbados. Standing outside of the Brighton Farmers Market, which is open every Saturday morning. People, especially the rich and high society people, just go to the Brighton Farmers Market to do their shopping, buy their vegetables and their ground provisions and so on. So from over here we can see Boarded Hall and Windsor in St. George, and we can see Fair Pilgrim and St. David's and the Ridge Christchurch from this side. So now to make my way back up. So this is the beautiful countryside that I am in. Yeah. So I will see if I can make my way back up to St. Luke's now, after taking in all this gorgeous beauty, this scenery. When they come here, people tell me take it and go long, because people don't like somebody to take the picture. The last time I come here, somebody got passed into me, take it and go long. Hope to take it and go long. When you're all there to see this beauty, because people passing and they don't like it, well, I'm checking for them. Taking the beauty here Barbados. To how many people are passing. I'm checking for people. I'm vlogging people. I'm vlogging Barbados. I will now start my walk back up to St. Luke's Church and Brighton, St. George. So part of this side of St. George, it borders Christ Church. Yeah. It's a beautiful landscape. Too good I can't take one. You can see the gated community known as the estates at St. George. From here as well. At boarding house St. George. Look like I got to pick up my umbrella again because of the rain is about to come down. Walking back up towards the Brighton Farmers Market now. Brighton Farmers Market, a plantation house. This is the Brighton Farmers Market, open every Saturday morning to meet the needs of persons wanting grown provisions or fruits or vegetables. So looking back down to the beauty of St. George, into the St. George. All right, looking down around the St. George Valley. All the Brighton Farmers Market. Here. So this was Brighton Plantation. Brighton Plantation here. This will lead you back to Ellerton and Waverley Court and back to the Upper Brighton. So this is the Brighton Farmers Market and Plantation House over here. The rain has held up again. Oh, here you can see St. Luke's Anglican Church up in here. So this is Brighton, St. George. Have this pass off, but then never do that. Oh, here's a gully look. So again, St. George is my father's birth parish. St. George is the parish in which my father was born and raised. For those of you who don't know who my father is, such more that sings or that used to sing years ago with the Sand Pebbles group, he is my father and he is from St. George. And he used to write a lot of songs for Wendy Allen, Cheryl Hackett, Carolyn Leacock, the Draytons too, Shirley Stewart, and many others. So Saxon work with my father. And originated from back up towards St. Luke's Church. This way back to Windsor, Windsor, St. George, back here. Okay, back down to St. Windsor Road, or Windsor Cemetery, up in here. Always a kind of tree in St. George. This way will lead you back to St. Luke's Church, where I'm heading to now. Or it will lead you back to, straight ahead, it will take you back to French's, Melverton, Boyd Mill, and Brackthall, and St. George, and it will lead you back to St. Philip and St. John. St. Philip will be Edgecombe, Ebenezer, Chapel Church Village, all up by the prison side, that side of St. Philip, and St. John with Kendall, Henley, Woodland, Kendall and Henley on that side of St. John. You can get to from here. So warm all up before I walk up to the church side again. This little walk had me if I go there. Just a little walk. If I walk, a little walk can do for me. Walking back up to St. Luke's Church at Brighton, St. George. St. Luke's Church and School up this way, up the road here. It is 6:33 in the evening. All the canes here. Back down the road. So this is where my father went to school, St. Luke's Brighton Primary. When it was just St. Luke's Boys. The boys' school was here. The boys and the girls mixed together in 1979 and formed one school. They named it St. Luke's Brighton Primary School. You see the graveyard here for the church? This graveyard carries the final remains of my grandmother and uncle from my father's side. As I said before, my paternal side of the family comes from this area. St. Luke's Brighton Primary School here in St. George. I live out here. Peaceful and quiet. No one around. But you have to be careful when you meet someone. Everyone is welcome here. And the church here. And this is the pastor for the children to play. St. Luke's Church. You can see the airport in Christchurch to the south from here. Better drop up my bag here. So this is St. Luke's Church once again. This is where the rectory was. The vicarage slash rectory, where the priest used to live. The last priest that used to live here was the Reverend Walter Henry Fairweather, who was the priest here from 1957 to 1969. The other priests were afraid. Majority of the priests that served St. Luke's Church were afraid to live here because it's a rather isolated position. St. Luke's Church was rather isolated, so a lot of priests were afraid to live here. St. Luke's Church is nestled in the midst of Keynes. As I said before, this church carries the final remains of my grandmother and uncle from my father's side, St. Luke's Anglican Church. This is the church yard here. And the St. George Valley over here. St. Luke's Church is known as the house of prayer in the fields. Alright, before I go ahead, I want to walk back up to the Mount Hill now. Northern porch. So this current priest put a chain here for the driveway and a lock on the gate so that persons cannot walk or go in the church or around the church. She locked the gate and she put a chain by the gate. She means that she doesn't want certain people loitering around or by the church. I find a lot of cars are passing here now though, these days. So I'll look at the church one more time before I walk up the road. Good. This is all the farmland and the cane fields behind the church. Now heading to Upper Brighton. This little walk got me hungry now, yeah. I'll wait till I get back down to town and buy something to eat when I get back downtown. Up here is quite a distance from downtown. I guess you guys noticed that I set my camera to be high definition, both in quality and smooth running, to give you guys a clear vision of Barbados through my lens. That's why I buy iPhone. That's why I set it to smooth running. If you guys in mind see a drone flying over there too. I see a drone flying over there. This is the pasture. All here is cane fields. My God. God give me the protect me while I walk along this lonely road. I know you will do it. But God always protect me when I walk in these roads. So no matter who come against me, I still have no fear. This way about this is Upper Brighton now. This way about a Draxall as well as French's, Melverton and by the Mill. And this way back to the Mount. So this way about a Draxall as well. So you can access Draxall from here as well. Via Brighton, Melverton and French's. You hear the crickets chirping? As night now, as the old hymn will say, now the day is over. Night is drawing nigh. Shadows of the evening steal across the sky. High society people live up in here as well. All the cane fields here. All the society people live up in here. So all here is farmland. And the church back down here. And all here back to St. George Valley and Boarded Hall on that side. We'll walk over to the mount and catch the bus. Got the farmland up here. This road here to the left now will lead you back down to this road here back down to the left will lead you back down to Ellerton, Waverley Court, Ellerton, and the Ellerton housing area, and back to where my father is from, Ellerton. And this way back to the Mount Hill. might shut it off before I get to the mount though, because then again it's still got a little light though. You can still see where it's going. You can see where it's going. Oh, I can see where it's going too. This is the farm here. So far, I haven't met anyone walking on the streets yet. At least, thank God. I don't want any run-ins, not any problems. I will be peacefully and innocently filming, and then I run into someone, and then problem starts. And that will be my problem all the time. Oh, I think I can move. You study farm here, the horses, I see. So Lake has caught me on the street. Or at least I'm closer to catching the bus than it was before. Though, all this stuff farm here. I'm closer to getting the bus than it was before. So this is the Mount St. George. This is the lyric spot, the cat run. We'll be about to Black Salt too. Upper Brighton. Monkeys, Glen. Not to get back to the mount now. Now back to the Mount St. George. Back to the Mount St. George. So the night has now fallen. This way back up to the Mount Plantation. Vauxhall Plantation, Green, St. Jude's, and back to St. John with Woodland and Kenley. And this way to Ellerton, the Mount, Eastland, and back down to town as well from here. Thanks for watching now, guys. Have a blessed evening.